Lisa Martinez walked across the polished floor of Stellar Motors, her high heels clicking against the smooth surface. The sound echoed through the massive showroom, which stretched out like an aircraft hangar. Bright lights shone down on rows of the most expensive vehicles in the galaxy. These were not ordinary cars. They were ships that could fly between planets and travel faster than anything humans had ever built before. The showroom was a place of dreams. Floating above the ground were sleek cruisers with curves like water drops. Their metal surfaces gleamed under the lights, reflecting colors that shifted from blue to silver to gold. Some ships were small and fast, built for racing through asteroid fields. Others were huge and luxurious, with rooms inside that looked like fancy hotels. Lisa had worked at Stellar Motors for 8 years. She started as a junior sales assistant, fetching coffee and cleaning display screens. Now she was one of the top salespeople on New Terra Colony. She wore expensive clothes and carried herself with confidence. Her customers were wealthy business owners, military officers, and politicians who could afford to spend millions of credits on a single vehicle. The morning sun streamed through the giant windows that made up one wall of the showroom. Outside, the city of New Terra stretched toward the horizon. Tall buildings reached into the sky, and flying cars moved between them like schools of fish. In the distance, Lisa could see the spaceport where massive cargo ships arrived daily from Earth and other colonies. Lisa checked her tablet, scrolling through her appointments for the day. She had a meeting with a mining corporation executive at noon. He wanted to buy a small fleet of workships for his operations on the moon of Kepler-7. That sale alone would earn her enough commission to buy a nice apartment in the upper city levels. She walked over to her favorite display, the Aurora-class deep space cruiser. This ship was her pride and joy. It cost more than most people earned in their entire lives. The Aurora could travel between star systems in just a few days. It had bedrooms, a kitchen, a small gym, and even a garden room with real plants from Earth. The ship's hull was painted deep blue with silver stripes, and its engines glowed with a soft blue light. Lisa ran her hand along the ship's smooth surface. She had sold 3 Aurora cruisers in the past year. Each sale had made her richer and more respected among her colleagues. She knew every detail about the ship's systems. The quantum drive could fold space itself, making impossible distances seem small. The defensive shields could stop asteroid impacts and energy weapons. The life support systems could keep a family comfortable for months without needing to land. Other sales staff moved around the showroom, helping early customers who had come in to browse. Lisa watched them with a critical eye. She had learned to spot serious buyers quickly. Wealthy customers usually wore expensive clothes and carried themselves with authority. They asked detailed questions about performance and price. Poor customers wandered around touching everything but rarely bought anything significant. The morning passed slowly. A few customers came and went, but none seemed worth Lisa's personal attention. She let the junior staff handle the small sales while she prepared for her important afternoon appointment. She reviewed the mining executive's file, learning about his business and what kind of ships would serve his needs best. At 10:30, the showroom doors opened and a woman walked in. Lisa glanced up from her tablet and immediately dismissed her as unimportant. The woman looked to be in her 50s, with graying hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore faded blue jeans, old boots, and a brown leather jacket that had seen better days. Her clothes looked like something a factory worker might wear, not the outfit of someone who could afford their premium vehicles. The woman walked slowly through the showroom, stopping to look at different ships. She seemed particularly interested in the technical displays that showed engine specifications and performance data. Most casual browsers ignored these boring details, but this woman studied them carefully. She even pulled out an old-fashioned notebook and wrote down some numbers. Lisa turned her attention back to her tablet, preparing sales materials for her noon appointment. She had no time to waste on window shoppers who clearly could not afford their products. The junior staff could handle anyone who actually needed help. Her time was too valuable to spend on people who were just looking around for entertainment. Woman in the leather jacket continued her slow tour of the showroom. She stopped at the Aurora cruiser and began reading the information display with great interest. She walked around the entire ship, examining it from every angle. When she found the technical specifications panel, she spent several minutes reading. Through the detailed performance data, Lisa noticed the woman's behavior but still felt no urge to approach her. Serious customers usually announced themselves clearly. They asked for help immediately and showed obvious signs of wealth. This woman acted more like a curious tourist than a potential buyer. The woman pulled out her notebook again and wrote down several more details about the Aurora's quantum drive system. Her questions to herself were technical and precise, showing knowledge that surprised Lisa. Most customers did not understand the complex physics behind faster-than-light travel. But this woman seemed to grasp the concepts easily. As the morning continued, more customers entered the showroom. A well-dressed couple from Mars Colony arrived in a private shuttle. Lisa immediately recognized them as serious prospects and hurried over to greet them. They were interested in a smaller ship suitable for traveling between the inner planets. While Lisa focused on the Martian couple, the woman in the leather jacket continued her examination of the Aurora cruiser. She found the interior access panel and began looking at the living spaces inside the ship. Her movements were confident and purposeful, as if she knew exactly what to look for in a quality spacecraft. The woman spent nearly an hour in the showroom, taking notes and asking quiet questions to other staff members. None of the junior employees recognized her importance either. They answered her questions politely but without enthusiasm, assuming she was just another curious visitor who would leave without buying anything. Finally, the woman approached the main sales desk where Lisa was finishing paperwork for the Martian couple. She waited patiently until Lisa was free, then cleared her throat softly to get attention. Lisa looked up with barely concealed irritation, already preparing to direct this obvious non-customer toward the exit. The woman in the leather jacket stood quietly beside Lisa's desk, waiting for attention. Lisa finished typing her sales report for the Martian couple and looked up with a forced smile. Her eyes quickly scanned the woman's worn clothes and simple appearance. Lisa had seen hundreds of curious visitors like this one. They came in to look at the expensive ships but never bought anything. "Can I help you?" Lisa asked in a tone that suggested she hoped the answer would be no. She glanced at her watch, noting that her important appointment with the mining executive would arrive in an hour. She needed to prepare her presentation materials, not waste time with someone who obviously could not afford their products. The woman smiled warmly and extended her hand. "Hello, I'm Sandy. I've been looking at your Aurora class cruiser. It's quite impressive." Her voice was calm and confident, with a slight accent that suggested she had spent time on many different worlds. Lisa shook the offered hand briefly, already planning how to end this conversation quickly. "Yes, the Aurora is our premium model. The starting price is 12 million credits, not including options or customization." She said this hoping the enormous price would discourage further questions. Sandy nodded without seeming surprised by the cost. "I noticed the technical specifications mention military-grade defensive systems. Can you tell me more about the shield generators and armor plating?" Her question revealed detailed knowledge that caught Lisa off guard. Most casual browsers did not understand such complex systems. "The defensive systems are quite advanced," Lisa replied carefully, "but they require special licensing for civilian use. The paperwork alone takes months to process." She hoped this bureaucratic obstacle would end Sandy's interest in the expensive ship. Sandy pulled out her notebook and flipped through several pages covered with technical drawings and calculations. "I see you also offer the Titan-class heavy cruiser. How does its range compare to the Aurora for deep space missions? Her questions continued to demonstrate surprising expertise in spacecraft design. Lisa began to feel slightly uncomfortable. This woman knew more about their ships than most of her wealthy customers. But her appearance still suggested she could not afford such expensive vehicles. Lisa decided to test Sandy's seriousness with a direct challenge. "Are you currently in the market for a deep space cruiser?" Lisa asked bluntly. "Because I should. Mention that we require substantial financial verification before scheduling test flights or detailed consultations." She spoke louder than necessary, hoping other staff members would hear and understand she was dealing with an unqualified customer. Sandy's expression remained pleasant, but something flickered in her eyes. "I understand your policies. Perhaps I could speak with someone about the verification process." She seemed genuinely interested in moving forward despite Lisa's obvious reluctance to help. Lisa glanced around the showroom and spotted Jake Morrison, one of the junior sales assistants. He was young and eager, perfect for handling customers who would waste time without generating real sales. "Jake can help you with any questions about our procedures," Lisa said. Waving the younger man over, Jake approached with a friendly smile. He was new to the job and treated every customer with equal enthusiasm. "Good morning, I'm Jake Morrison. How can I help you today?" His genuine warmth contrasted sharply with Lisa's cold professionalism. Sandy turned to Jake with obvious relief. "I'm interested in learning more about your deep space cruisers. Specifically, I need something capable of extended missions in contested regions." Her military terminology surprised Jake, but he maintained his helpful attitude. "Contested regions?" Jake asked with interest. "Are you involved in security work or exploration?" He pulled out his own tablet to access detailed specifications that might meet Sandy's unusual requirements. "Something like that," Sandy replied with a slight smile. "I need a ship that can handle itself in dangerous situations while maintaining luxury. Accommodations for diplomatic passengers." Her requirements suggested she worked in high-level government or military operations. Lisa watched this conversation from her desk while organizing files for her upcoming appointment. She noticed Sandy's sophisticated questions, but remained convinced that appearances told the real story. In her experience, truly wealthy customers announced their importance immediately. They wore expensive clothes, arrived in private shuttles, and demanded immediate attention from senior staff. Jake spent 20 minutes showing Sandy various ship models and explaining their capabilities. She asked detailed questions about engine efficiency, cargo capacity, and communication systems. Her knowledge impressed Jake, who began treating her as a serious potential customer despite her casual appearance. "Would you be interested in seeing the interior of the Aurora?" Jake offered enthusiastically. "I can arrange a walkthrough tour if you'd like to experience the accommodations firsthand." He was eager to provide excellent service to every customer, regardless of their appearance. Sandy's eyes lit up with genuine interest. "That would be wonderful. I'm particularly interested in the command center and navigation systems." Her specific request suggested she had extensive experience operating spacecraft. Jake began preparing the Aurora for interior viewing, checking that all systems were properly displayed and functioning. Meanwhile, Sandy continued examining other ships in the showroom, taking detailed notes about their various features and capabilities. At that moment, a distinguished gentleman in an expensive suit entered the showroom. He wore a gold watch and carried himself with obvious authority. Lisa immediately recognized the signs of serious wealth and abandoned her desk preparations to greet this promising new customer. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Stellar Motors," Lisa said with her most charming smile. She had completely forgotten about Sandy, who was still waiting for Jake to complete the Aurora tour preparations. The wealthy gentleman introduced himself as Marcus Webb, president of Webb Mining Corporation. Lisa's pulse quickened as she recognized his company name. Web mining operated facilities throughout the outer colonies and regularly purchased expensive equipment. This could be an enormously profitable encounter. "I'm looking for cargo ships suitable for asteroid mining operations," Marcus explained. "I need vessels that can carry heavy equipment and operate in harsh environments for extended periods." His requirements suggested a multi-million credit purchase. Lisa immediately began showcasing their industrial spacecraft models, giving Marcus her complete attention. She walked him through the showroom, explaining the features of various ships designed for commercial operations. Her enthusiasm was obvious as she calculated the potential commission from such a large sale. Meanwhile, Sandy waited patiently near the Aurora cruiser while Jake finished his preparations. She observed Lisa's dramatic change in behavior, noting how quickly the saleswoman had abandoned her previous customer to focus on someone who appeared more profitable. Sandy made mental notes about the dealership's customer service approach. Other customers in the showroom began noticing Sandy's extended presence and technical questions. A few recognized that her knowledge level suggested professional experience with spacecraft operations. However, her casual appearance continued to mislead most people about her true importance and capabilities. Sandy checked her watch and realized she had been in the showroom for nearly 2 hours. She had gathered detailed information about several ships and observed the dealership's sales practices. Her patient evaluation was reaching its conclusion. Though the staff remained unaware, they were being carefully assessed by someone far more significant than they realized. Sandy walked slowly toward the showroom exit, her notebook tucked under her arm. She had spent over 2 hours examining the ships and observing the staff. Jake had been helpful and kind, but Lisa's dismissive treatment had left a clear impression. Sandy paused near the door, taking one last look at the Aurora cruiser that had captured her interest. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the polished floor. Other customers continued browsing the expensive vehicles while sales staff moved between them, helping those who seemed worth their time. Sandy noticed how quickly they judged people based on clothing and appearance. It was a familiar pattern she had seen in many places throughout the galaxy. Lisa remained completely focused on Marcus Webb, showing him detailed specifications for mining ships. Her animated gestures and bright smile demonstrated the level of service she provided to customers she considered important. The contrast with her earlier cold treatment of Sandy could not have been more obvious. Jake finished preparing the Aurora tour and looked around for Sandy. He seemed disappointed to see her near the exit, apparently ready to leave. "Ma'am, I have the Aurora ready for viewing if you're still interested," he called out hopefully. His genuine desire to help every customer showed his professional dedication. Sandy turned back with a grateful smile. "Thank you, Jake. You've been very helpful. I may return another time when I have more opportunity to explore your offerings properly." Her polite words suggested she was not entirely satisfied with her overall experience at the dealership. As Sandy reached for the door handle, the entire atmosphere of the showroom suddenly changed. The security guards near the entrance straightened their posture and began speaking quietly into their communication devices. Several staff members stopped their conversations and looked toward the main entrance with expressions of excitement and nervousness. Lisa paused in her presentation. 2. Marcus Webb, noticing the unusual activity. "What's happening?" she asked one of the security guards, annoyed that something was interrupting her important sales meeting. Before the guard could answer, the showroom doors opened and a tall figure stepped inside. The man wore a long black coat over a dark uniform decorated with numerous medals and insignia. His presence immediately commanded attention from everyone in the building. Conversations stopped, and even the background music seemed to fade into silence. This was Commander Kane Sullivan, one of the most famous military officers in human space. His reputation preceded him wherever he went. Stories of his heroic actions during the Centauri conflict had spread throughout the colonies. He had saved entire planets from alien attacks and led impossible missions deep into enemy territory. Commander Sullivan's steel-gray eyes scanned the showroom with the practiced awareness of a seasoned warrior. His face was weathered from years of service in harsh environments, and his movements carried the confidence of someone accustomed to command. Even without knowing his identity, people could sense his importance and authority. Lisa immediately abandoned Marcus Webb and hurried across the showroom floor. Her high heels clicked rapidly as she rushed to greet this obviously significant visitor. She had never met Commander Sullivan personally, but his military decorations and commanding presence clearly indicated his wealth and status. "Commander Sullivan," Lisa exclaimed, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "Welcome to Stellar Motors. I'm Lisa Martinez, Senior Sales Associate. It's an incredible honor to have you visit our showroom." She extended her hand with her most dazzling smile, already calculating the potential value of this unexpected opportunity. "Commander." Sullivan shook her hand politely, but seemed more interested in surveying the available vehicles than engaging in small talk. "I'm looking for something special," he said in a deep, measured voice that carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed without question. "Of course, Commander. We have the finest selection of luxury spacecraft in the entire sector," Lisa replied eagerly. "What type of mission profile are you considering? Personal transport? Diplomatic duties? Command vessel?" She was already mentally reviewing their most expensive models. "Something suitable for gifting," Commander Sullivan replied cryptically. "A friend of mine deserves the very best, and I want to find something worthy of their service." His words suggested he was shopping for someone else, someone he clearly respected greatly. Lisa's mind raced with possibilities. If Commander Sullivan was buying a gift for another high-ranking military officer or government official, the sale could be enormous. "We have several premium models that would be perfect for such a distinguished recipient," she said, gesturing toward their most expensive displays. As Lisa began her enthusiastic presentation, she failed to notice that Commander Sullivan's attention had shifted. His eyes had found Sandy, who remained near the exit observing the commotion his arrival had caused. A subtle smile crossed his face, and he gave her a barely perceptible nod of recognition. Sandy returned the gesture with equal discretion, her own expression warming at the sight of the commander. It was clear they knew each other well, though. Lisa remained completely oblivious to this silent communication between them. "The Aurora-class cruiser is our flagship model," Lisa continued, unaware of the significant exchange happening behind her. "It features military-grade systems with luxury accommodations suitable for the highest-ranking officials." She walked toward the blue and silver ship, expecting Commander Sullivan to follow. Instead, the commander remained where he was, his attention still focused on Sandy. "Actually," he said slowly, "I think I'd like to speak with that lady first." He gestured toward Sandy with obvious respect and familiarity. Lisa turned to see where he was pointing and felt confused. That woman? She was just browsing earlier. "I don't think she's a serious customer." Her dismissive tone revealed her continued misjudgment of Sandy's importance. Commander Sullivan raised an eyebrow at Lisa's comment. "Is that so?" he asked, his voice carrying a note of surprise and perhaps disapproval. He began walking toward Sandy, his military bearing making it clear this was not a casual conversation. Other customers and staff members watched with growing curiosity as the famous commander approached the woman in casual clothes. The unusual situation created a buzz of whispered speculation throughout the showroom. Even Marcus Webb stopped examining mining ships to observe this unexpected development. Sandy straightened as Commander Sullivan approached, her posture subtly shifting to match his military bearing. The change was slight, but noticeable to anyone paying close attention. It suggested she was far more accustomed to formal protocols than her casual appearance indicated. "Good afternoon," Commander Sullivan said formally as he reached Sandy. "I hope you're finding everything satisfactory here." His words seemed innocent enough, but his tone carried deeper meaning that suggested a history between them. Sandy smiled warmly at the commander. "The facilities are impressive, and some of the staff have been very helpful," she replied diplomatically. Her response was carefully worded to acknowledge both positive and negative aspects of her experience. Lisa watched this exchange with growing bewilderment. The famous commander was treating this ordinary-looking woman with obvious respect and familiarity. It made no sense based on appearances, but the evidence was undeniable. Something important was happening that she did not understand. Lisa hurried to catch up with Commander Sullivan as he continued his conversation with Sandy. She felt confused and slightly frustrated by his apparent interest in someone she had already dismissed as unimportant. Her mind struggled to understand why such a famous military officer would pay attention to a woman in worn clothes. "Commander Sullivan," Lisa interrupted politely, "I have several premium models I'd love to show you. The Aurora cruiser I mentioned has systems that would be perfect for high-ranking military personnel." She tried to redirect his attention back to the expensive ships and away from Sandy. Commander Sullivan turned to Lisa with a patient but firm expression. "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I'm exactly where I need to be right now." His tone suggested he was not used to being interrupted or redirected, especially by sales staff. Sandy watched this interaction with growing amusement. She could see Lisa's confusion and desperation to complete what she assumed would be a profitable sale. The saleswoman had no idea that her rude treatment earlier had created a situation she could never have imagined. "Actually," Commander Sullivan said, glancing back at Sandy, "I'm here to help an old friend find the right vehicle. Someone who has served our colonies with distinction and deserves the very best we can offer." His words carried deep respect and admiration. Lisa's eyebrows rose with new interest. If Commander Sullivan was shopping for another important military figure, the potential sale could be even larger than she had hoped. "Wonderful. Is this friend someone I might know?" "Another decorated officer, perhaps?" Her voice carried excitement at the prospect of dealing with military elite. Commander Sullivan smiled at Sandy, who nodded slightly in return. "I think it's time for proper introductions," he said. "Ms. Martinez, I'd like you to meet Admiral Sandra Brooks, commander of the 3rd Colonial Defense Fleet and hero of the Battle of Kepler Station." The words hit Lisa like a physical blow. Her confident smile froze on her face as the impossible truth sank in. The woman she had dismissed and ignored for hours was actually one of the most famous military leaders in human space. Admiral Brooks had saved millions of lives during the alien invasions and was considered a living legend throughout the colonies. Lisa's face went pale as she realized the magnitude of her mistake. Admiral Brooks was not just any military officer. She was the Admiral Brooks whose strategic brilliance had turned the tide of the war. Her personal wealth from military bonuses and government rewards was legendary. She could buy the entire dealership without affecting her bank account. "Admiral Brooks," Lisa stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I had no idea. Please forgive me for not recognizing you earlier." Her hands trembled as she tried to process the disaster she had created through her prejudiced assumptions. "Admiral." Brooks smiled kindly at Lisa's obvious distress. "There's nothing to forgive regarding recognition. I prefer to travel without fanfare when possible. It allows me to see how people really behave when they're not trying to impress someone they think is important." Her words carried a gentle but clear message about Lisa's earlier treatment. The news of Admiral Brooks' presence spread quickly through the showroom. Other staff members began gathering at a respectful distance, their faces showing mixtures of excitement and nervousness. Jake Morrison approached with obvious awe, clearly thrilled to have spent time helping such a distinguished customer. "Admiral Brooks," Jake said respectfully, I had no idea who you were when we spoke earlier. Thank you for your patience with my questions. Your service to the colonies means everything to people like my family." His genuine gratitude and respect contrasted sharply with Lisa's earlier dismissive attitude. Admiral Brooks turned to Jake with a warm smile. "You provided excellent service, young man. Your knowledge of the ships and willingness to help every customer equally speaks well of your character." Her praise made Jake beam with pride, while Lisa felt increasingly ashamed of her own behavior. "Commander." Sullivan observed Lisa's growing distress with interest. "The Admiral was telling me about her experience here today. She mentioned that some staff members were very helpful while others seemed less interested in assisting her." His diplomatic words carried an unmistakable message about Lisa's performance. Lisa felt her career flashing before her eyes. She had not only insulted one of the most important customers possible, but she had done so in front of Commander Sullivan, whose opinion carried weight throughout the military community. Word of this incident could ruin her reputation permanently. "Admiral Brooks," Lisa began desperately, "if I had known who you were, I would have provided my best service immediately. Please let me make this right. I can show you any ship in our inventory and arrange whatever you need." Her words tumbled out in a rush of panic and regret. Admiral Brooks studied Lisa thoughtfully. "The issue isn't about who I am or what title I carry. Every customer deserves respectful treatment, regardless of their appearance or apparent wealth. True professionalism means serving everyone equally, not just those who look like they can afford your products." The Admiral's words carried the weight of someone who had earned respect through actions rather than appearance. She had risen through military ranks based on merit and had never forgotten her humble beginnings on a farming colony. Her casual clothes reflected her practical nature and her preference for substance over style. Marcus Webb, who had been watching this extraordinary scene unfold, approached the group. "Admiral Brooks, I'm Marcus Webb of Webb Mining Corporation. I've heard incredible stories about your tactical brilliance. It's an honor to meet you in person." His respectful greeting showed how someone should properly acknowledge the Admiral's presence. Admiral Brooks shook Marcus's hand warmly. "Thank you, Mr. Webb. I've heard excellent things about your company's work in the outer colonies. Your mining operations provide essential resources for our defense efforts." Her knowledge of his business impressed Marcus and demonstrated her awareness of civilian contributions to colonial security. Lisa watched these interactions with growing desperation. She could see how Admiral Brooks commanded natural respect from everyone around her. The contrast with her own earlier behavior became more painful with each passing moment. She had judged the Admiral based on appearance and had revealed her own shallow values in the process. Commander Sullivan leaned closer to Admiral Brooks and spoke quietly. "I believe this dealership has several models that might meet your mission requirements. The Aurora cruiser we discussed has the range and capabilities you need for diplomatic missions in contested space." His words revealed they had been planning this visit together. Admiral Brooks nodded thoughtfully. "The technical specifications are impressive. Jake showed me the systems earlier, and they seem well suited for extended operations." Her comment acknowledged the junior salesman's helpful service while pointedly ignoring Lisa's earlier dismissive treatment. The full weight of the situation finally hit Lisa completely. Admiral Brooks had not been window shopping or wasting time. She had been conducting a serious evaluation of ships for official military and diplomatic use. The potential sale was enormous, possibly the largest in the dealership's history. And Lisa had thrown it all away through her prejudiced assumptions and unprofessional behavior. Lisa realized that her career at Stellar Motors might be over. Word of how she had treated Admiral Brooks would spread throughout the military community and the luxury vehicle industry. Her reputation for serving only obviously wealthy customers had finally caught up with her in the worst possible way. Admiral Brooks walked slowly back toward the Aurora cruiser, with Commander Sullivan beside her. Lisa followed at a distance, her heart pounding as she tried to think of ways to salvage the situation. The other staff members and customers watched with fascination as the drama continued to unfold. The specifications Jake showed me earlier were quite detailed. Admiral Brooks said to Commander Sullivan, "This ship would work well for the diplomatic missions we discussed." Her calm tone suggested she was seriously considering a purchase despite Lisa's earlier treatment. Commander Sullivan nodded as they examined the sleek blue and silver vessel. The defensive systems alone would justify the cost. Your safety during negotiations in hostile territory is worth any price. His concern for the Admiral's well-being was obvious to everyone listening. Lisa's mind raced as she overheard their conversation. They were talking about purchasing the Aurora, the most expensive ship in the showroom. But their discussion suggested something much larger was at stake. Admiral Brooks had mentioned diplomatic missions, which could mean she needed multiple vehicles for her staff and security teams. Jake Morrison approached respectfully, carrying his tablet with the Aurora's complete specifications. "Admiral Brooks, I have the detailed performance data you requested earlier. The quantum drive efficiency ratings and fuel consumption estimates are all here." His professional preparation impressed both military officers. "Thank you, Jake, Admiral." Brooks replied warmly, "Your thoroughness and attention to detail have been excellent. This is exactly the kind of service that builds trust between customers and dealers." Her praise for Jake's work made Lisa feel even worse about her own performance. Commander Sullivan studied the technical specifications with obvious knowledge of military requirements. "The communication systems are military grade. You could coordinate fleet operations from this ship if necessary." His comment revealed that Admiral Brooks' needs went far beyond personal transportation. "Actually," Admiral Brooks said thoughtfully, "I've been considering a complete upgrade of our diplomatic transport fleet. The current ships are getting old, and we need better capabilities for missions in dangerous regions." Her words made Lisa's knees go weak as she realized the true scope of the potential sale. Complete fleet upgrade could mean dozens of ships worth hundreds of millions of credits. It would be the largest single sale in the dealership's history, possibly in the history of the entire luxury spacecraft industry. And Lisa had destroyed any chance of being involved through her prejudiced behavior. Mr. Davidson, the dealership manager, appeared from his office after hearing about Admiral Brooks' presence. He was a distinguished man in his 60s who had built Stellar Motors into the premier luxury vehicle dealer on New Terra Colony. His face showed both excitement and concern as he approached the group. "Admiral Brooks," Mr. Davidson said with deep respect, "I'm Robert Davidson, the general manager. It's a tremendous honor to have you visit our showroom. I hope our staff has provided you with excellent service." His eyes briefly found Lisa, and his expression suggested he had already heard about the earlier problems. Admiral Brooks smiled politely at Mr. Davidson. "Your facilities are impressive, and most of your staff have been very professional. Jake Morrison in particular has been extremely helpful and knowledgeable." Her diplomatic response acknowledged both positive and negative aspects of her experience. Mr. Davidson nodded gratefully. "Jake is one of our finest team members. Is there anything specific I can do to ensure you have everything you need for your evaluation?" His offer to personally assist showed how seriously he took this opportunity. Commander Sullivan spoke up. "The Admiral is considering a significant fleet purchase for diplomatic operations. She needs ships that combine luxury accommodations with military-grade defensive systems." His explanation made Mr. Davidson's eyes widen with understanding of the potential sales magnitude. "We would be honored to bid on such an important contract," Mr. Davidson replied. "Our ships have served military and government officials throughout the colonies. We can customize any configuration to meet specific operational requirements." His professional response demonstrated years of experience with high-level sales. Admiral Brooks walked around the Aurora again, examining details she had noticed during her earlier inspection. The interior layout works well for diplomatic functions. The conference room could host negotiations, and the guest quarters would accommodate visiting officials. Her analysis showed she had been seriously evaluating the ship all along. Lisa listened to this conversation with growing despair. Admiral Brooks was discussing exactly the kind of large-scale purchase that sales representatives dreamed about. The commission from such a sale would set someone up financially for years, and it should have been hers if she had simply treated every customer with equal respect. Commander Sullivan pulled out his own tablet and began reviewing fleet specifications. "How many ships are you thinking for the complete upgrade?" he asked Admiral Brooks. His question would determine the full scope of this enormous opportunity. "The diplomatic corps needs at least 12 ships of various sizes," Admiral Brooks replied. 6 Aurora class for high-level missions, 4 smaller vessels for routine transport, and 2 heavy cruisers for security escort duties, her detailed. Requirements showed this was a carefully planned procurement, not an impulsive decision. Mr. Davidson quickly calculated the approximate value in his head. 12 custom-built ships would cost over 200 million credits. It would be the sale of a lifetime, generating enough profit to expand their business significantly. His excitement was barely contained as he realized the magnitude of this opportunity. "We could certainly handle a project of that scope," Mr. Davidson said carefully. "Our construction partners have experience building custom fleets for government clients. The timeline would depend on specific modifications required." His professional caution showed he understood the complexity of such a large contract. Admiral Brooks nodded thoughtfully. "Timeline is important. We need the new fleet operational within 18 months for upcoming diplomatic initiatives in the outer colonies." Her requirements added urgency to the potential contract. Commander Sullivan looked at Admiral Brooks with concern. Given the sensitive nature of some missions, security during construction would be critical. The ship's capabilities should remain confidential until deployment. His comment revealed that these vehicles would be used for classified government operations. Lisa realized she was witnessing negotiations for one of the most important military contracts ever offered to a civilian dealer. Admiral Brooks was not just buying personal transportation. She was upgrading the entire diplomatic fleet for the colonial defense forces. The strategic importance of this purchase went far beyond simple commercial sales. Jake Morrison continued taking detailed notes as the discussion progressed. His thorough documentation and professional attitude impressed both Admiral Brooks and Commander Sullivan. It was clear he would play a major role in any future negotiations, while Lisa had eliminated herself through her prejudiced assumptions. "Before we proceed further," Admiral Brooks said diplomatically, "I should mention that I prefer to work with organizations that demonstrate consistent professionalism with all their customers. First impressions matter greatly in diplomatic work, and I need partners who understand that principle." Her words were a clear reference to Lisa's earlier behavior. Mr. Davidson's face showed his understanding of the Admiral's message. "I completely agree, Admiral Brooks. Professional standards apply to every interaction, regardless of the customer's appearance or perceived status. That's how we build lasting relationships based on mutual respect." His response acknowledged the problem while promising better service going forward. Admiral Brooks exchanged a meaningful look with Commander Sullivan. They both understood that this moment would determine whether Stellar Motors earned the opportunity to bid on the fleet contract or whether they would take their business elsewhere. Admiral Brooks and Commander Sullivan stepped away from the Aurora cruiser, their conversation becoming more private. Lisa watched from a distance, knowing her chance at the biggest sale of her career had vanished because of her own prejudiced behavior. The weight of her mistake pressed down on her like gravity from a heavy planet. Mr. Davidson approached Admiral Brooks with obvious concern. "Admiral, I hope we can find a way to move forward despite any earlier misunderstandings. Your fleet contract would be incredibly important to our company." His diplomatic words tried to salvage the situation without directly criticizing Lisa. Before Admiral Brooks could respond, a young woman approached their group hesitantly. She wore simple clothes and carried a worn backpack that suggested she was a student or researcher. Her nervous expression showed she recognized the importance of the people she was approaching. "Excuse me," the young woman said quietly. "Are you Admiral Sandra Brooks?" Her voice carried hope and excitement, mixed with uncertainty about interrupting such an important conversation. Admiral Brooks turned to her with a kind smile. "Yes, I am. How can I help you?" Her immediate attention to this unknown person demonstrated the same respect she gave to everyone, regardless of their apparent status. The young woman's face lit up with joy. "My name is Emma Chen. I'm a xenobiology researcher at the Colonial Science Institute. I wanted to thank you personally for protecting the research stations during the Kepler crisis. Your actions saved my entire team and years of critical research." Her gratitude was deeply sincere. Admiral Brooks seemed genuinely moved by Emma's words. "Dr. Chen, your research on alien communication patterns has been invaluable to our diplomatic efforts. Your work helps us understand other species and find peaceful solutions instead of fighting. Thank you for your service to humanity." The Admiral's response showed she knew about Emma's scientific contributions. Emma's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. Most people don't understand how important scientific research is for preventing conflicts. Your protection of the research colonies allowed us to continue work that saves lives through understanding rather than weapons. Her words revealed the deeper purpose behind both their careers. Lisa watched this interaction with growing understanding. Admiral Brooks treated everyone with the same respect and attention, whether they were famous military officers, successful business owners, or young scientists. The Admiral's character was consistent regardless of who she was speaking with. "Commander Sullivan observed Emma's emotional response with interest. "Dr. Chun, your team's work on interspecies communication has prevented several potential conflicts in the outer colonies. Diplomacy based on understanding is always preferable to military solutions." His comments supported Emma's research while acknowledging its practical applications. Emma turned to Commander Sullivan with recognition. "Commander Sullivan, your tactical reports on alien behavior patterns have helped our research tremendously. The combination of military intelligence and scientific analysis creates better diplomatic strategies." Her academic perspective appreciated the collaboration between military and civilian experts. Admiral Brooks looked thoughtful as she listened to this exchange. "This conversation reminds me why our work matters so much. Military strength means nothing without the wisdom to use it properly. Our greatest victories come from understanding others and finding common ground." Her philosophy reflected humanity's evolution beyond simple conquest. Mr. Davidson watched Admiral Brooks' interaction with Emma and began to understand something important. The Admiral's character was not about rank or fame. It was about recognizing the value in every person and their contributions to humanity's success among the stars. "Admiral Brooks," Mr. Davidson said carefully, "your conversation with Dr. Chun has reminded me of something important. Every customer who enters our showroom deserves our best service, regardless of their appearance or apparent wealth. That's not just good business, it's the right way to treat people." His words acknowledged the lesson of the day's events. Admiral Brooks nodded approvingly. "That's exactly right, Mr. Davidson. In my experience, some of the most important people look nothing like what others expect. True worth comes from character and contributions, not from expensive clothes, obvious displays of wealth." Her statement was a clear reference to her own casual appearance. Lisa stepped forward, her face showing shame and determination. "Admiral Brooks, I owe you a sincere apology. I judged you based on your appearance instead of treating you with the respect every customer deserves. I was wrong, and I've learned an important lesson about my own prejudices." Her admission was difficult, but necessary. Admiral Brooks studied Lisa's face carefully, looking for genuine understanding rather than just fear about lost commission. "Recognizing our mistakes is the first step toward growth, Ms. Martinez. Question is whether you can change your behavior going forward, not just with obviously important customers, but with everyone who needs your help." Emma Chun listened to this conversation with growing admiration for Admiral Brooks' wisdom. "Admiral, your approach to leadership has inspired people throughout the colonies. You show that true strength comes from lifting others up, not putting them down." Her observation highlighted the Admiral's reputation for developing others. Commander Sullivan added his perspective. "The Admiral has always believed that humanity's greatest advantage among alien species is our ability to recognize potential in unexpected places. We succeed because we value diversity and give everyone opportunities to contribute." His comment revealed humanity's strategic philosophy. Admiral Brooks looked around the showroom, taking in the expensive ships and the various people browsing them. "I've been thinking about this fleet purchase all day. It's not just about buying ships. It's about choosing partners who share our values and understand what humanity represents in this galaxy." Mr. Davidson felt hopeful but remained cautious. "What values are most important to you, Admiral?" His question showed he understood this decision involved more than technical specifications and pricing. Respect for all people, regardless of their background, the wisdom to look beyond appearances, the strength to admit mistakes and learn from them, the courage to treat everyone equally. Admiral Brooks listed each value clearly, making her expectations obvious to everyone present. Admiral Brooks turned to Lisa directly. "Ms. Martinez, I'm going to give you an opportunity to demonstrate real change. If you can show me over the next month that you treat every customer with equal respect and professionalism, I'll consider returning to complete the fleet purchase." Her offer was unexpected and generous. Lisa's eyes widened with surprise and gratitude. "Thank you, Admiral Brooks. I promise I won't waste this second chance. I'll prove that I've learned from my mistakes." Her determination was obvious as she accepted this unexpected opportunity for redemption. Jake Morrison stepped forward with enthusiasm. "Admiral Brooks, I'd be honored to work with you on the fleet specifications. Your requirements are complex, but I believe we can create something that exceeds your expectations." His professional eagerness impressed everyone present. Admiral Brooks smiled at Jake's enthusiasm. "I look forward to working with you, Jake. Your thorough approach and genuine desire to help every customer shows the kind of character we need in our partners." Her praise recognized his consistent professionalism. Emma Chun watched this resolution with admiration. "This is why humanity succeeds among the stars. We believe in second chances and the power of people to grow and change. That's our greatest strength in a dangerous galaxy." Her scientific perspective appreciated the social dynamics she was witnessing. Commander Sullivan nodded in agreement. "Admiral Brooks has always understood that our real power comes from our ability to see the best in others and help them become better than they thought possible. That's how we build the future we want to live in." The afternoon sun streamed through the showroom windows as Admiral Brooks prepared to leave. Her casual clothes had hidden one of the most important customers in the galaxy, but her character had revealed humanity's true strength. Lisa stood watching her go, understanding finally that real success came not from judging others, but from serving them with respect and dignity.